Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for January 14th, 2025. Thank you for joining me. You can watch on YouTube if you would like. Just go to YouTube, search 97.3 The Fan. You can also go to Twitter at 97.3 The Fan SD or at Matt Skraby, MATTSKRAB as in boy Y. Or you can go watch on Twitch, 97.3 The Fan, and Facebook, 97.3 The Fan as well. So that was a lively Gwyn and Chris. That was a fun show. We got through a lot. And I titled this YouTube video Sasaki Watch, and I'm definitely locked into Roki Sasaki and what happens here over the next week or so. But I'm also kind of tired of the watch part of it. I want it to happen now. I want the signing to come. I want the news to break. I just want to know what's up because we've been talking about this since the end of last season. Once the Padres were eliminated, we started talking about Roki Sasaki. That was our next thing that we really needed to pay attention to. And, you know, he was here in San Diego over the weekend, and he was caught on video a few times. So we know that he was wearing Padres colors. I'm pretty sure that he was wearing Padres colors. Now, I will say this, too, that if I'm going to report about the Padres, I got to report about where else he's meeting. He met with the Blue Jays, which, you know, Matt Snyder said doesn't seem like a legit the Blue Jays have a legit opportunity to get him, but it's between the Dodgers and the Padres. He is meeting with the Dodgers today or has met with the Dodgers today. This will be his second visit. Now, I've seen people say, second visit, this is not good. The second visit before the window finally opens, this is terrible. What are we doing here? He's going to choose the Dodgers. No, he also made 2 visits to the Padres as well. So his second visit was over the weekend. I think the first visit was like kind of, you know, checking in to see, hey, do we want to have further discussions? And then they move forward. So tomorrow is the day that the window opens. Roki Sasaki can choose a team. And we are so much closer to baseball season now. We're also so much closer to finding out what the Padres team is going to look like. Because we've been saying it. You've been thinking it. Once Sasaki chooses his team, that's when AJ is really going to go to work. Because he has to. I mean, spring training is coming up very, very, very soon. I don't even know when the first spring training game is, but I'm going to go look right now because we are way too close. I mean, last year we were about this time is when he signed Jurickson Profar, so I guess I can't complain about that. Once the Sasaki decision, though, happens, then they can move forward. February 21st looks like the first game for the Padres. That is in 5 weeks. 5 weeks, everyone. The Padres will be playing their first game in spring training. And again, I'm going to be calm and patient and all of the above, but it is getting a little down to crunch time. And it's getting to a point where things need to start materializing. And I fully believe that they're going to start materializing, but the first domino there is going to be Roki Sasaki and what he chooses. And we'll deal with it together. I've tried not to get myself too excited about this Roki Sasaki thing because I do think it will change everything for the Padres. Maybe not everything, but it will change a lot. It's the combination of everything. It's the combination of him being a pitching phenom at the age of 23. It's the combination of that with the low salary demands that he's going to have. And it's also combined with the amount of time that he's going to be under control for with the team that he selects. And all 3 of those things together is not generational, I won't say that, but all 3 of those things together is why this is such an important thing. I don't really want to myself keep putting all my eggs in the Roki Sasaki basket, but the further we get into this offseason, the closer we get to spring training, the more I realize how important this is. I also think it's important for Padres fans. I was texting with a friend earlier today, and he was asking me the chances of Sasaki coming to the Padres, and I said, I think good shot. And he just wrote back, we need this. And I feel it. I feel that they need Roki Sasaki, because this is not only just a win. Wins could be put on the board on the field. This is a win off the field because there's so many different ways that they can benefit from Roki Sasaki being in a Padres uniform. I mean, think about this. You got Michael King. Here's the rotation with Roki Sasaki. You got Michael King. You got Dylan Cease. You got Yu Darvish. You got Roki Sasaki. Those are your first four starters, in my mind at least. And those guys are good. Like, that is a four. And I should say this too. We are all expecting Roki Sasaki to come over here and just be as good as he was with MPB. We are expecting him to just fit in and fit right into the rotation and be great. I'm sure there's going to be some growing pains with this. Anywhere he goes. It's not easy to move halfway across the world to play baseball. Sounds easy, not easy. And I think that those are the things that he is taking into account when he is thinking about where he wants to play. Like, can I see myself here for 6 years? What are the teammates like? What's the future of the franchise like? Organization? And when we've talked about it last week, but this lawsuit that is going on with the Padres, will it affect Roki Sasaki? My answer is I don't think so. Because he doesn't, they already have the team locked up, the core players locked up. You got Manny, Fernando, Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove, Jake Cronenworth, all of the above. You have those guys locked up. So they're going nowhere. And you can build off of that. And Roki Sasaki is not going to be breaking the bank here with the Padres for the first 3 years of his contract for sure. Now, arbitration, he may make a ton more money, but we'll see. I mean, Tarek Skubal won the Cy Young. He's only making $10 million this coming year. So the money part is not really an issue in my mind for Roki Sasaki because he's looking at the same amount of money anywhere he goes. I just think lifestyle is probably lifestyle and what the team can do for him. Like the pitching whisperer. Anybody heard of him before? Ruben Niebla, the pitching whisperer, widely known as one of the best pitching coaches in Major League Baseball, if not the best pitching coach in Major League Baseball. So if you're looking at that as Roki Sasaki, you're thinking, okay, I'm coming in to a team that just made the playoffs and a team that has a really good pitching coach. That's a good situation for me. I also have a good clubhouse. That's a good situation for me. And I'm not going to be up in LA and, being hounded by reporters all the time. I think that Roki Sasaki wants, as his agent said last month at the winter meetings, Roki Sasaki wants a soft landing spot. And that is why when I answer my friends, yes, I think the Padres have a good shot. It's because all of these things, they're working in the favor of the Padres. And this, again, is very important. I need to caution everyone into getting their hopes up too much, just like I'm doing, because this, it's not every day that a player of this caliber comes to Major League Baseball and chooses the Padres. I know that there have been players that have done that, but it's not every day that this happens. So, of course, we're going to be watching this all the time. I'm going to be up all night, midnight, set my alarm, wake up, any Roki news. But I really hope he just chooses soon. I don't want to have to deal with it. Yeah, Roki, for me. You're going to do it for me. You're going to choose so I don't have to deal with your decision anymore. M. McKee says, cautiously optimistic. That is a good way of going about it. Cautiously. I will never, ever, ever forget the time that we thought Max Scherzer was a Padre. And then we realized he wasn't a Padre. He was actually a Dodger. That was hard. That was hard to handle. It was not a good time in Padre land. Because we all got really excited thinking the Padres were able to acquire a big-time starting pitcher, but he went to the Dodgers. Hey, it didn't really matter anyway because the Dodgers didn't win the World Series, but there's a lot of feelings behind this decision for Roki. And again, we saw him in video. It has been not confirmed, but it has been shown many times. But I'm kind of with Tony. I didn't actually know like how these things work with free agents. Do you throw for the team before you actually get offered a contract or something? Because he was throwing in the video that we saw yesterday, and Tony said that's kind of crazy to do because what if he's not very good, or what if he hurts himself? So I don't know what to make of this whole throwing video. I do think it's a good thing, obviously, because he's already in Padres colors. I haven't seen any tweets for Dodgers colors at all, but I'm thinking that things are going to be good. Cautiously optimistic. Let's see. Joseph says, "Where do we go if we don't get him though?" I really 100% think that AJ has a backup plan. He has to have a backup plan. I think we reported yesterday, or we said yesterday that they've told some of their international signing class to look elsewhere for teams, and that's also a good sign. But all of these signs don't add up to a confirmation of Roki Sasaki being on the team. Now, your question was, what do they do when they have to pivot? I think AJ pivots immediately, and I think that I know people don't want me to say it. They're going to have to trade Dylan Cease. They're going to have to trade maybe Michael King. I'm not saying both of them. I'm saying one or the other. But I'm starting to like this rotation with Roki Sasaki in it, so I'm not going to really think about that yet. But there is a contingency plan, I'm sure, for the Padres going forward because they have to. They have to. Like I said, we're 5 weeks away from the first game of spring training. There has to be some sort of contingency plan. Jocelyn says, trust Uncle AJ. I do trust AJ because AJ always makes things happen. And McKee, do you think Tony has any inside info and is playing coy? This is one of, I guess many people don't know this. I'll pull back the curtain. But I will hound Tony off the air. Do you know something? Do you know something? And he will tell me sometimes if he knows something because he knows I'm not going to repeat it. But I've asked him about this. He knows as much as we do. And so he's no help to me there. But he has helped me in other things when I asked him in the past. But Tony doesn't know anything. He would actually probably ask, hey, can I say this on the air? If he knew, because it's a big deal. But Keeping It Real says, do they go after Scherzer? No. Scherzer is not my first choice of a pitcher. He's a little bit older now. All right. When we get back, I'm trying to find my doc. Justin Verlander, we kind of played a little bit of the press conference earlier. But Justin Verlander had some stuff to say about Buster Posey that slightly concerns me for the future of the Giants, or of the Padres, because it seems like players are really loving the Buster Posey as a GM move in San Francisco. So we're going to talk about what Justin Verlander said, and we'll talk more about Padres baseball. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. You can come watch us on YouTube. You can go to the Skraby Show, you can go to 97.3 The Fan on YouTube. Search for that. On Twitter, 97.3 The Fan SD or Matt Skraby. Back shortly.
Happy holidays, gang.
You know, one of the benefits of watching the YouTube is you get to see me dance to these rejoin musics, and I'm a really bad dancer. Like, that is one thing that I am super embarrassed about. I have never been a dancer. I've never liked dancing. Like, everybody loves weddings where you go dance and you have fun on the dance floor, whatever. I'm always the guy sitting in the corner because I don't like to dance. So that is me. I am Matt Skraby. Thank you for joining me here on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. Before we get into Justin Verlander and Buster Posey, I was watching ESPN, and we were watching this during the show, but that TGL golf thing that we were talking about last week was on. And I wasn't really sure how it would work and all that stuff, but I gotta say, it was more than slightly entertaining. I'm going to check it out again because it's a nice little thing to do on a Tuesday afternoon at 4 p.m. Watch this indoor golf event, and it's kind of cool because you tee off from grass, real grass that's in there, and it goes into like a simulator, and the simulator tells you where it goes. And then your second shot is either off the fairway or the rough. They have a rough section of grass that you have to hit out of. And then they have an actual green that is like an AstroTurf green, but it changes how it looks. So some of the bumps change in between holes, and it's really kind of awesome, I have to say. Tiger Woods' team just played, the Jupiter team played the LA team. Jupiter got crushed. Jupiter only had 1 point. I think LA had like 11 points or something like that. So Jupiter was not very good, and I thought this was hilarious. Tiger Woods' son Charlie was watching earlier, and Tiger hit one. I think it was an approach shot, but he hit the ball so far, it went way over the green and into the water. And they went back to Charlie on the camera, and he was like laughing at his dad. It was pretty funny, I have to say, because you don't get to see, you're seeing more and more from that, from Tiger these days, like having fun with his family and just kind of being a normal dude, even though he is not a normal dude. So maybe check it out, TGL. It was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. We'll see where I'm at in like 3 weeks, once baseball, or 4 weeks, once baseball starts. Will I still be watching? Maybe. They'll also be playing real golf by that point. The San Diego Food Bank is supporting the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank's ongoing relief efforts by collecting donations of non-perishable food and supplies through Thursday, January 16th, which will be delivered at the end of the week. Items can be dropped off at either of their warehouses in Miramar and Vista. The LA Regional Food Bank has requested the following items for donations. Here we go. If you have any of these, or if you want to go purchase some of these, you could drop them off in Miramar or Vista at the San Diego Food Bank. Water, energy bars, pop-top tuna and chicken. And I have to admit that I didn't know what pop-top tuna and chicken is. It's as simple as it sounds. It's like one of those things, canned tuna basically, where you pop it open. Yeah, I'm not very smart sometimes. Raisins and other dried fruit trail mix, peanut butter crackers, cheese crackers, 100% juice boxes, individual cereal boxes, diapers, and wipes. So if you want to help, for complete details, visit SanDiegoFoodBank.org/LA-wildfires. SanDiegoFoodBank.org/LA-wildfires. I saw a video online. I know we're going to get into Justin Verlander in a second, but I want to say this first. I saw a video online of a guy who was returning to his home that was burned down like 5 days after he had the evacuation notice. So, he basically had 2 dogs. I guess a firefighter saved one of them, and the other one they couldn't find. I guess the dog was scared, and so it went and hid somewhere, and they couldn't find him in time, and they had to leave. You all know I'm a dog owner. You all know that I am way too protective of my guy Lucky, my dog. He's going to be 3 here pretty soon. He's a golden retriever, husky mix, 50-50 basically. He's the best ever. But so what happened, because I'm bringing this up because social media can be such a disgusting place sometimes. And I know we also have to, kind of parse through some of the stories that aren't actually real. And so I'm going to share this story thinking that it's real. And if it's not, then it's all for naught. But what we talked about actually means something. So this guy on this post of him finding, long story short, he found his dog after 5 days. And it came running to him. He was super excited. But the people in the comments were so mean. Like, why would you ever leave your animals and leave them to die in the fire? And this guy was like, I didn't leave my animals. I went to work. I realized that there was an evacuation notice for my neighborhood. I went back to my neighborhood to get I went back to my neighborhood to get the dogs, and they wouldn't let me into my neighborhood, and they wouldn't let me get into my house to get my dogs. I don't know about you, but that would be one of the hardest things for me. And I know people have kids. I'm not talking about children. If children are involved, I mean, obviously, you're going to save the child. I'm not talking about children. I'm talking about animals. And I cannot imagine a more heartbreaking thing than to think my dog is scared and alone in a fire, in a house in like a wildfire. That is so sad to me. So I'm glad this dog lived. I think the dog's name was Oreo. I'm glad this dog lived, but thinking about not being able to go into the house, Podzilla says nothing would stop me from getting my dogs. You are speaking the truth. I will parachute in to get my dogs. I am not leaving my dogs there. It's not happening. I don't care what they say. I really don't want to get arrested because I really can't save my dogs, but I would have found some way to go get them, because that's terrifying. Terrifying and sad and all of that. And that's just one story, I'm sure, of many stories of people losing their animals and stuff. And I feel so bad for anyone who had that happen. I was at Petco earlier, and they were asking if I wanted to donate food to the LA area, and I did not, just because I only had enough cash just for what I was buying. So it's not because I'm a jerk or anything like that. But hug your animals tonight. Tell them you love them, and just appreciate them. Joseph says, now I need to see Skraby go parachuting. I've been twice, actually. And you know what? I have a video of it. Maybe I'll make that like a commercial break video. Me skydiving. It's me doing a lot of screaming with my brother. My brother was actually the tandem person that was on my back, so he helped me get to the ground. But it was actually pretty awesome, I have to say. Did it twice. That's how good it was. I've come to realize that I am an adrenaline junkie, and I like to put myself in certain situations. Like the other day, Tony was talking about the turbulence, or Chris was talking about turbulence and how they dropped like hundreds of feet. Like, I know that that's scary, but at the same time, I'm kind of into it. I'm kind of like, ooh, this is getting my heart going. And it's the reckless alcoholic that I used to be that still sits in the back of my head. Like, when I hit some turbulence and you drop 100 feet, I was like, oh, that's fun. That is fun. Let's see. Hope Springs Eternal. I have been hugging my little Siamese closer to me the past couple days. Katrina says, adrenaline junkie. That tracks. Clay in the South Bay says that clip of the dog was shown on Fox 5 News this morning. So there we go. At least I'm in the right place. But that would be so sad and scary. All right. Justin Verlander, Buster Posey. I'm trying to think. Okay, it's 6:29. You know what? I'm going to be a good host. I'm going to go to break. I promise you. Promise. When we get back, you will hear from Justin Verlander. We will talk about the situation with him. And then we also have the Daily Gripe at the end of the show. So stay there, because we will be back shortly on 97.3 The Fan. Back here in the Odyssey Palace, 97.3 The Fan, Matt Skraby here. Heading into the final segment of the show, we will talk about Justin Verlander and Buster Posey. I realize I just talked about animals and skydiving the last segment, but hey, sometimes we're going to get that on the Skraby show, everybody. I'm also trying right now. I'm in preliminary, very preliminary talks about some Skrabinator games this year. So you'll be the first to know, Skrabinators. If you don't know what a Skrabinator game is, last year I give away like 20 tickets to our suite. We all go and watch the game together. So hoping that continues this year. I mean, it kind of has to continue this year, right? It was such a success last year. We have to have it again this year. All right, let's go into Buster Posey and Justin Verlander. Verlander signed with the Giants for 1 year, $15 million. And Buster Posey recently has signed some big names. He signed Willy Adames, which was a prize of the free agent offseason. He's a Giant now, and Willy Adames said one of the reasons that he wanted to become a Giant was because of the way Buster Posey has carried himself throughout his career and after his career. And Buster Posey is well liked among most people in baseball. I don't know that I've ever heard anyone say that Buster Posey they don't like. I mean, Buster Posey was just a guy who would work hard, play baseball, and he was really good at it. And he won some World Series with the Giants. But now he's the general manager of the team, which I do honestly think is a good idea because Buster Posey loves the Giants organization. Buster Posey is a Giant. So why not have someone like that run your team? And when Justin Verlander was asked about the process of meeting with Buster Posey and talking with him about certain things, he said something that I think players are going to pick up on. And here's Justin Verlander talking about it.
I don't know if I ever will be completely used to it, but honestly, talking to somebody like Buster with his experience was pretty refreshing in a game that is so full of a lot of analysts now. So I think that was really something for me that was a nice draw, just to talk with somebody who's been on the field and competed and kind of understands, but also understands the analytics, right? It was very clear that he gets both sides of it. So in having those conversations, made it very comfortable for me speaking with him and hopefully vice versa. Yeah, it wasn't awkward. There were a lot of thoughts running through my mind, which I haven't brought up to him yet, about some experiences that I've had in my career that weren't so happy for me, but it obviously didn't get in the way.
Buster, could you?
So there you go. That was Justin Verlander talking about it, and Buster Posey could be used, and this is why I think the Giants made him the general manager, because he could be used to sway people into coming to the organization. Farhan Zaidi was the general manager of the team before Buster Posey for the last maybe 5-6 years, and I think he got somewhat of a reputation that he was not a very fun general manager to play for. And you saw a lot of the free agents that went through San Francisco, you saw them not choose that team. And the I guess the rumor as to the reason why from some of my friends up there in the Bay Area is that people just didn't like Farhan. And so the Giants ownership said, hey, we need to figure this out because we need to make sure that players come here and they like who they're talking to and they like who they're playing for. And Buster Posey, as you heard Justin Verlander say, he's the right mix of experience, big league experience, and analytical knowledge. And I think that's very important. And Justin Verlander was not, he was probably sought after by more than just the Giants. So it's not like he only got one offer from the Giants. I'm sure he was wanted elsewhere. But I just think that over time, and I should say this first, this all will work for the Giants if they win. If they don't win, it's not going to work. Winning makes everything work. And the Giants have to start winning. They still have a little bit of building to do on this team because they weren't quite there last year. And I think that the Giants are a team that we should look out for maybe in the next 2-3 seasons. Again, they have to win. Buster Posey still has to make some moves. But if you're a player like Justin Verlander and you talk to Buster Posey, you could tell your war stories together. I mean, what kind of connection is that? That's a huge connection. And instead of sitting down with Farhan Zaidi, who didn't play baseball, who just kind of crunches numbers, and I know he did more than that, I don't think there was that sort of personal conversation that a player would want to have with a GM. They're kind of just, all right, this guy's kind of a robot and they're willing to pay me this amount of money, so I'm just going to go for it and look the other way. But I really think that this is something we're going to have to deal with as Padre fans, and as San Diego Padres, this radio station is talking about the Giants signing more guys. And who knows what would have happened if Buster Posey was the GM when Arson Judge came through and Ohtani. Who knows? Giants have money. San Francisco Giants have a lot of money. Don't forget, they did win 3 World Series, which they lived off of up there for years and years and years. But Justin Verlander saying this, and when I saw it this morning, I thought, I have to talk about this because I think it is something that people need to pay attention to in regards to like the National League West. And not to say that like AJ Preller is not player friendly. I think AJ Preller is player friendly. I think AJ Preller is a lot different than Farhan Zaidi. I think AJ Preller, in his own way, is much more personable than Farhan Zaidi, and I think the players do actually like playing for AJ. I think when they come meet AJ, they can see the type of excitement that he has, and they can see the type of focus he has on this organization. So I'm not saying that you need to be a former player to be a GM and sign big name free agents, but it doesn't hurt. And there's honestly not that many guys out there that fit that mold. I mean, Buster Posey is a Hall of Famer. He's a 3-time World Series winner. He's an MVP. He's a Rookie of the Year. That doesn't come along very often. And so the fact that that he wanted to do this and the Giants asked him to do this, that's why it's happening. I mean, he's got more trophies on that in the trophy case than a lot of people. So he's kind of a rare exception of what type of player is going to be a success as a GM. I mean, some of the GMs out there are former players, but they're not maybe as successful at what they did when they were with the team or when they were playing baseball. I really think we're going to have to watch this, and, you know, I'm not liking it. I don't like it, people. I don't like it because the National League West is already so difficult as it is, and I just don't see how it can get any more difficult, but it will get more difficult. It's kind of crazy. I mean, the Dodgers, the Giants, the Diamondbacks are signing guys. Rockies have done nothing. Padres have done nothing. But Padres get Sasaki. It's much better than it was when sitting right here, knowing that we don't have Sasaki yet. So that is the conversation on Justin Verlander and Buster Posey. Let's see. I would like to now talk about something that it's NFL playoff related, but the Packers. Now, everybody's talking about Brock Purdy. Everybody's talking about how Brock Purdy, is he the guy? Is he the guy? I personally don't really know, but I'm fine with the 49ers as a 49er fan giving him the money just because I don't want to have to start over. They don't want to have to start over. And I think Brock Purdy has enough of the tools to get them to win. I mean, he went to an NFC Championship game. He went to a Super Bowl. If you're not good, you don't get to those places as a quarterback. But Jordan Love was given a contract last year that was in the $200 million range, like one of the, if not at the time, the biggest contract for a quarterback. But the Packers want Jordan Love, after they lost this game, they want him to be more vocal towards his team. And I could see why, it would be hard to be a leader as a rookie because he was playing under Aaron Rodgers. So he's had the time to He's had the time to find his voice, but I believe putting this in the media is kind of not a shot at him, but maybe a nudge in the right direction, saying, hey, we need you to step up a little bit more. We need you to be a little bit more of that vocal leader that we signed you to be. I'm assuming that the Packers talked to him about this a long time ago. I'm sure that they wanted him to be the leader of the team at some point, so I think that they realized that he can be that. But going to the media and saying that he needs to be more vocal, I think is a poke, is a little poke in the side. Like, hey, remember when we talked about that vocal thing when we gave you that contract? Well, yeah, we need you to step up a little bit more. Packers, I don't know what happened to the Packers. Packers fell apart. They were really good this year, and the Packers just fell apart. And I don't know why. They didn't change anything, I don't think. I mean, they had some injuries. Everybody has injuries, but for the most part, things didn't go well for them in the second half of the year. And Matt LaFleur took some blame for that as the Green Bay Packers head coach. And I think that Jordan Love needs to take that next step. I think that he needs to put himself in a place where he is the guy. They paid him to be the guy. There are other teams that don't need their quarterback to be a vocal leader. They have other guys for that. Like when Ray Lewis played for the Ravens, he was their vocal leader. He's not a quarterback, he's a linebacker. So not every team needs to have a vocal quarterback, but the Packers are asking him for more, and let's see what he does. Is he going to give them more? I think he will. I think that Jordan Love is a pretty good quarterback, and I think that sometimes the game gets a little too fast for him, and he makes mistakes. But I do think that he is someone that can lead a team deep in the playoffs. I do. Packers are always a tough team. And Jordan Love, the Packers have had what? Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and Jordan. 3 quarterbacks since like the 90s. That's insane to think that the Packers have had that sort of success with their quarterback position since like the 90s. The 90s. That's a long time. You know how many quarterbacks went through Cleveland? Probably at least 20. At least. Since 1990. Maybe even more. 30, 40. I mean, quarterbacks all over the league are dropping like flies, but the Packers have somehow figured out how to only have 2 guys over the past, 25 years. And then Jordan Love. So. SD Charm says, not many rings, though, Skraby. That is true. And I did say it earlier during the Mike Tomlin conversation. End goal is what? A championship. And Steelers haven't won any championships, but the Packers haven't either. They haven't won in a very long time. I know Aaron Rodgers got that one with Mike McCarthy and Jordan Nelson and all that, but you're right, SD Charm. The rings are not there, and the rings speak volumes. So I don't know what else they can squeeze out of Jordan Love, but he's going to have to find an extra gear. All I'm seeing right now online is about how bad Sam Darnold is. And I kind of feel bad for Sam Darnold because he did have a really great year. He threw for over 4,000 yards. He threw 35 touchdowns. I think he this year showed the type of quarterback that he can be. And let's not forget this either, because we always talk about teams and situations and how important it is for certain players to have good situations, especially young quarterbacks drafted high in the draft. I mean, he was drafted by the Jets. The Jets have never been great in the front office. And you got Woody Johnson, who owns the Jets. Situation is everything. If Sam Darnold started on a different team, maybe things are different. I think he's a serviceable quarterback in the NFL. I don't know that he has Super Bowl winning capabilities or at least be the guy to lead a team to a Super Bowl, but I think that he's good enough for the Vikings to bring back. JJ McCarthy didn't do much of anything football related this year because of his injury. He was out before the season even began. And so I don't know how ready JJ McCarthy is. If JJ McCarthy comes in, are they going to just deal with a rookie quarterback and the rookie growing pains? Is Justin Jefferson going to want to deal with that? Or does Justin Jefferson want a quarterback that he can, rely upon, like a Sam Darnold? I do think the Vikings offer Sam Darnold a somewhat of a decent deal. And I think that he probably is, I would say, a 2-3 year deal just because they have J.J. McCarthy and he is the future. But I think that you have to bring back Sam Darnold just because of the what happened this year, how well he played. Can't go away from that. Katrina, Sam Darnold, perfect example that in the NFL world, regular season success means nothing if you do bad in December and the postseason. Podzilla says, Skraby, Tony wasn't having any of that Tomlin nonsense whatsoever. I know. This is what we talk about in the breaks. I try to make my case to fire Mike Tomlin, and they tell me I'm crazy or something like that. They're gaslighters. Joseph says, still think things would have been different for Lance if he didn't get drafted by the 49ers. Maybe. Honestly. I don't know. That was a huge mistake for the 49ers, drafting Trey Lance, I think, number 3 overall, and gave up a bunch of different picks, all of that stuff. It's, Trey Lance is not very good, though. And it could be because he was in San Francisco first. Who knows? Now, Mike McCarthy was fired, and Mike McCarthy was actually well-liked by the team. And the guy who had, I guess, an issue during the year with him, Micah Parsons, was very upset about the firing. Dak Prescott texted, it's a reporter, Clarence Hill in Dallas, about the situation. And Clarence Hill said, Dak Prescott texted him about Mike McCarthy getting fired, bummed because we built some things, but I guess they couldn't reach an agreement. Shaking my head. It's the business. I look forward to the future plan. But Micah Parsons, on the other side, said this, of course, on his podcast.
And it's very, very interesting, man. Obviously very sad because the relationships, we had with Coach McCarthy and everything he's done for our program. 3 straight 12-5 seasons, playoff appearances, and obviously an unfortunate year due to injuries and things like that. But it is devastating. Coach Mike's a great father, coach, one of the most winningest coaches. And, he's always been good to us as a unit, us to coaches, players. So, losing a great coach like Mike hurts. But it's going to be very interesting off seasons. It's going to be very interesting, due to.
So originally when I read this, I didn't listen to the clip. And so it sounded like he was more sad, but he didn't really sound that sad right there. But he did say it's going to be a complete reset. And the reason I went with this is because I want to illustrate, sometimes decisions from the higher ups without consulting certain certain parts of the team is dangerous. And that's exactly what Jerry Jones did. He probably just made a decision and just let everyone deal with it. And that can really hurt a team. So once again, the Dallas Cowboys are trying to get out of Jerry Jones's mess.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
Okay, Boat says Mike McCarthy wasn't fired, but I kind of think he was fired. He didn't have a contract. His contract expired, but I kind of think he was fired because they didn't offer him a new contract. If you don't get offered a new contract, are you fired? Anyway, my Daily Gripe today. It's about driving. And I try not to do too many driving ones because I don't really want to sound the same every single night. But I've been dealing with a lot of slow drivers these days. And if you're going to be a slow driver, if you're going to drive the speed limit or 5 under the speed limit, please do all of the laws. Obey all of the laws. I was following this guy home last night, and this guy was going so slow. It was like a 45 zone, he was going 30. So I'm trying to stay calm and patient because I'm a hothead and I go from 0 to 60 too quick. But this guy wouldn't use his blinkers, he had one brake light working, maybe one headlight working. I don't know about the headlights, but the brake light definitely only had one working. But if you're going to be a slow driver, if you're going to be a careful driver, you have to use all of the rules of the road. You have to obey all of the rules of the road. I'm tired of getting behind people that are super slow, and then they just don't do anything else that is obeying the law. That's your Daily Gripe. I'm Matt Skraby. We'll be back tomorrow. AJ Cassavell on Gwen and Chris. Also, some Sports Court, some Michael Flicks. So we have everything ahead tomorrow. Bennett Wood starts at 6 a.m. on 97.3 The Fan. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining me.